So we're on the top of Kuf Aleph, 101. So the Mishnah had a case where we didn't know who the father is. First, there was a case he didn't know if the father was a Kohen or Yisrael. Then it says both of them are Kohanim, so then he's for sure Kohen. Yesterday, Sugi said that still with Rabbanan, he's a Shtuki. Rabbanan, he doesn't do Rabboda because we don't know who his father is, but Kimar is only with Rabbanan and only B'makam Znus. The Mishnah continued other things also, that if he hit both of his possible fathers, so any one of them, so he's not chayiv, even though Makia Vivi Mo Moshimos, Makalela Vivi Mo Moshimos, but he doesn't know of his father. It's a suffix, so he's not allowed to hit them like a father, but he wouldn't be chayiv, he wouldn't be liable the punishment because maybe it's not his father.
But it's both in them.
Oh, very nice. That's not much a sugya. Very nice. That's going to be the sugya over here. Today's sugya. You jumped on the sugya. They hit both of them, so then for sure you kill. That's going to be the sugya now. Let's point out that the Mishnah has both of them Kohanim. Then it says 5 nafkaminas, but only 2 of them have to do with the fact that they're Kohanim. They're doing the avodah, becoming betamei. This one has nothing to do with being a Kohen. It means both of them are. He's definitely a Jew, but he doesn't know who his father is. In this case, that he hit both of these people, that one of them for sure is his father, or kilo zev or kilo zeh, or kilo shneim basachas, or shneim basachas. All these cases chayiv. That if he hit or cursed both of them, and no difference if he did it simultaneously or he did it one after the other, also Tanakama says chayiv, because for sure he hit or cursed his father. What's the difference if he doesn't know which one it is? The Maisa, he cursed him. Then there's 2 opinions about Rabbi Yehuda holds. Rabbi Yehuda Omer b'masachas chayv v'zechas apoter. This Bryce holds in the name of Rabbi Yehuda that if it would have been simultaneously, like he hit both of them at the same time, or he cursed both of them, so then it would be chayv. Rabbi Yehuda also agrees. But if it would be b'zechas, then it'd be poter. And then we'll talk about why. But Tanya, another Bryce, Rabbi Yehuda Omer poter b'basachas. Even basachas also poter. So 2 opinions what Rabbi Yehuda says. Straight to leave it Rabbi Yehuda. And the Gemara doesn't even explain the reason of the middle brisa of Yehuda, not middle, the Rav Yehuda in the first brisa that says that the basachas is chayv, zechas as poter. The brisa, the most not going to talk about him. The brisa that's going to talk about the next opinion of Rav Yehuda that is poter even basachas. So Rashi helps us out. Rashi says that this for to be poter by zechas what's called asra suffix. Asra suffix means when you warn him that if he's going to do this, he's going to be chayv misa. So there's an issue of asra suffix that you're not sure. You can't really say 100%. Because when he hits one, you say if you're going to hit him, you're going to be chayv misa. It's not true. It's only if it's atad that his father. And on the other hand, he hits the other one. You say if you're going to hit him, you're going to be chayv misa. Also, you don't know. Maybe this is not. Maybe I did that, but not this one. So there's a concept called asra suffix that in order to punish somebody, you have to warn him, and the warning is called asra suffix, which is a question if that's good asra or not. So here it means even if the asra suffix would, even though it's a suffix, but at the end of the story, at the end of the day, he hit to both people, so it should be chayv misa. But if the warning is not a good enough warning, so then it would be poter. So that's why Rabbi Yehuda might hold, the Tanakhama holds that asra suffix is chayiv. That is chayiv. The Maisi killed, he hit his father, and he was warned, even though at each warning he wasn't sure that this is a good warning right now because maybe this is not my father. The Tanakhama doesn't care about that. That's asra suffix is chayiv. Rabbi Yehuda in this brayso holds asra suffix is poter. But in the case where he did it basachas, if he hit both of them, or cursed both of them simultaneously, then it's not asra suffix. He did tell them, you want to hit both of them. If you're going to hit both of them, you're going to be chayv misa. So that's not a suffix. That's for badai. So why does the last brayso Rabbi Yehuda at the end he says poter basachas? That the Gemara is going to analyze. Why should Rabbi Yehuda hold that he's poter, even if he definitely hit his father and he definitely was warned? My time at the man poter. What's the reason of the opinion that says that he's poter even basachas? Rabbi Chanina.
Maybe it's more only on the second one, not the first opinion.
He's chayiv. He should be chayiv again.
Was he warned after?
He was warned. The warning is okay. The warning is okay. They told him if you're going to hit both of them, he said, I'm going to hit both of them. So we told him, if you're going to hit both of them, you're going to be chayiv misa. And he hit both of them. So he surely should be chayiv. Why should it be poter? It's not asra suffix. It's definitely his father, and it says definitely asra. Amar Rabbi Chanina, Nema bracha lamata v'nema bracha lamala. Mala she'en bo shutvis, after the mata she'en bo shutvis, ve'izkish es kol l'kolala. So he's making Gzer Shava. Gzer Shava to learn out that he's only chayiv if he knows who his father is, and not only because one of Shach is his father. The word bracha here is a euphemism. It means klola. It doesn't want to talk about a curse when they're talking about Hashem. So it's used the word bracha, like Birchas Hashem. It really means the opposite. That's a euphemism. So it says the halach of cursing lamata, which means humans, and it says also cursing by lamala against Hashem, Chalila, and by lamala, ein b'shutfis. There's no partnership. Means there's no that he has to curse two in order to know that he's cursing, because only one God. So also by people, there's only one God, and there's no doubt who God is. But by the Father, there's a doubt who the Father is. So the pasuk says Gzer Shavah, since it says the halach of cursing by both of them, so it's similar, and it's not going to be chayiv only if he knows that this is his father, not that he's manavshach. He definitely heard his father, but he doesn't know which one it is. It has to be that it's clear which one it is. That's as far as cursing.
That's Rabbi Yehuda.
Yeah, we're going Rabbi Yehuda, the second brisa. Only one opinion in Rabbi Yehuda. But now that's only talks about hakah. How about klala? The iskish hakah. That's my klala. How do you know hakah? Because it doesn't talk about hitting Hashem. Not possible. Iskish hakah the klala, and there's a hekish that compares both of them. Rashi says because it says makeh vivimo most you must. Then it says makalelo vivimo most you must. So both of them are compared to each other, even though there's a pasuk in between. Rashi says it might be close enough to be considered a hekish, and therefore Rabbi Yehuda holds that both of them are pater. So it comes out three opinions. It seems to be passing like the first opinion, or maybe that's Rosh Safek is pater. Here I don't see any numbers over here, so I can't tell. But one opinion held that Rosh Safek is also chayiv. One opinion held that Rosh Safek is pater. So then it would be pater b'sach hazeh, but the basachas is not a Rosh Safek. And then Rabbi Yehuda in the second brisa holds everything is pater because there's a Gzer Shavah to learn out from someone who would bless Hashem, the opposite of that curse. So over there's no doubt who he's talking about. And so too by the father, only if he knows definitely who his father is. The Mishnah also said, next case, that if he doesn't know who his father is, but he's definitely a Kohen, so he goes up to do Avoda on both of the Mishmoros. So each Kohen was part of a Mishmor, 24 Mishmoros that they would take shifts of when to do Avoda. So he doesn't know who is his father. One father has one shift, another father has another shift. So whose shift is he part of? So it says he should go up to do Avoda both times. But he doesn't get any chelik, he doesn't get any kachim. They can't give him kachim because they don't have to give him kachim because they could tell him, maybe you're not part of our mishmor. So it comes out that he could do avoda, but he doesn't get any manas kuni. He doesn't get from that mishmor anything of kachim. And the Gemara wants to know that it's mashma that he's supposed to go. Not only at mehi, but he's supposed to do avoda on both mishmoros. And that's what the Gemara is going to talk about. First, the Gemara says, if he's not going to get anything of the kachim, so why does he go up to do avoda? So first, the Gemara makes it sound like why does he want to? So the Gemara says, why he wants to? Lama ola, why is he going to do avoda? Amar bina d'nevet mitzvah. He says, I'm going to do a mitzvah of avoda b'kachim, even though I'm not going to get paid. The pasuk says, chelef avoda some that they get manas kahuna in exchange of the avoda that they do, that they're the representation of Am Yisrael when they do the avoda, and they get manas kahuna. But here he's not getting manas kahuna, but he wants to do avoda. So it's not a kasha why he wants to go. And it says if he wants to go, the Mishnah says he may go to either mishmor. He may be accepted by either mishmor. The hard that's what the Mishnah says. They point out that Taisha Jonathan maybe argues on this, but the way I'm saying it, but the pashas would be that he has a right to go to either mishmor, and he doesn't get any kachim. So what's the kasha why he wants to go? He wants to go. He wants to do a mitzvah. I'm sorry, I skipped a word. Ella ola bal korcho. I'm sorry. And there we start again. The kasha, the Gemara says, what do you mean? Lama ola, hama bin david mitzvah. So the kasha is ella lokatani, ella ola bal korcho. That's the kasha. It doesn't say if he wants to, he may. It says that he's supposed to. That we force him. That's the kasha. Why do we force him? It could be, I think Rashi's mashma that it could be that every Kohen usually is supposed to go. And not only if he wants to, he's supposed to, he's bukhoi because he's a Kohen, he's supposed to have avoda. But usually it's because he gets something for it. So we can tell him you have to go and he'll get through it. But here he's not going to get any kachim in exchange. So then maybe he doesn't have to. And here it says he does have to. And that bothers the Gemara. Why does he have to? If he's not going to get any manas kahuna, so why does he have to? Because it's a, what's the word pagam? A deficiency or some kind of defect, a blemish on the family. That means that the family that feels that if he's not going to go to do the avoda, it might be people will say because he's puzzled, because he's some problem with him, he's a challah or something like that, and it's a blemish to the family that they have somebody else puzzled. Really, the reason why he's not going might be because he goes to the other one, or go to the other mishmor. But this family is going to say this that maybe people will say that you didn't come, you are part of our mishmor because he's questioning who his father is. And the fact that he didn't come, they might say, people will say that's because you are not a kosher Kohen. We don't want people to talk about our mishmar, our family, that we have a apostle Kohen. So therefore, each family has the right to force him to come to do the avodah. He doesn't get kachim, but they have a right to force him. That's what comes out. They have a right to force him that he could come, that he should come to do the avodah, but they're not going to give him kachim. Very interesting that they force him. He says, I don't want to go. So they say, you have to. Okay, so give me kachim? Also not. That's what it seems to say. And the Mishnah might have learned that it just means that he has a right to come. But the Gemara understands he has to come. And he has to come, and he doesn't get the kachim. It says in the end of the Mishnah that if both of the fathers, yeah, but so give him something for it.
But not from the kachim.
Why not?
Because maybe it's not his mission.
Okay, but you want him to come. Okay, so I won't come. So you want me to come because you have your personal interest.
Because you have two fathers, quote unquote.
Okay, so you have a personal interest that I should come. If you have a personal interest, so pay for it.
So maybe on the side.
Then why not from the kachim?
Maybe he's not his mission.
That's not a problem. That's not a problem. He's not eating the kachim, but they don't have to give him because they have no chiv to give him. But if you're telling me I have to come, so I don't understand why he can't say.
Do they have to pay for his transportation?
Do they? No. What would you say?
What would they say?
They have a personal interest they should come.
Maybe they can say, listen, you want me to come?
So then they can say,
maybe they say, since it's a subject of whether you're from our mishpacha, so we can force you.
So
You
pay.
don't have to pay.
So who has to pay for the transportation?
No, I don't. He has to pay for himself.
I don't. Okay, I don't understand why you should have it.
No, but it's your on this coin there'll be a blemish.
He doesn't have a concern with that.
The grammar from where he is that is a plan.
Okay, we have to go further. It says both of them are from both fathers are from the same mishmar. So then he does have a right to get portion because he's from this mishmar. He doesn't know who his father is. What's the difference? But his great grandfather, he knows who he is. So therefore, he would get a portion. Mishmar is the low. The Azalal Mishmara Umatchule, Vazalal Mishmara Matchule, Mishmar Echadami, Azalai Beis Abu Matchule. The Gemara is asking that the Kohanim are not only divided into 24 shifts. Besides 24 shifts, also that weekly shift is divided into 6 or 7 days, and each day a different part of the family works. So the question is, even if he knows which mishmar he's from, but if he doesn't know from which family he's from, one of them works on Sunday, one works on Monday, one on Tuesday. So when he comes Sunday, so how could he demand any kind of kachim? They'll tell him, you don't belong to our Beis Av. The word mishmar is the weekly shift, and the Beis Av means that weekly shift is divided into families that are daily shifts. So each daily shift could say, it's true, you're part of the weekly shift, but you're not going to get from us. Maybe tomorrow. And then they come tomorrow, they say maybe yesterday. So that's the kasha. Why does the Mishnah say that if it's from the same Mishmar, he does have a right? He shouldn't have a right either. It's only if he knows, if the both fathers are from the same Beis Av, from the same daily family, otherwise he doesn't get a right. Because he has to come to the Mishmar and he has to work. But then when it comes time to getting anything, even if he knows he's from the same Mishmar, but he doesn't know which day, so no particular day is forced to give him. And he won't get anything in that case either. Okay. Yeah. The next parak is what everyone would have expected to be the first parak of the Masechta, the basics. Now it's going. Moshe a few days ago was asking some of the basic halacha of chalitza. This is the parak that starts the basic halachas, and just to point out that the Shulchan Aruch more or less starts over here. The mitzvah chalitza starts over here. There's Yibam and chalitza. The mitzvah of Yibam does have a couple of parakim before that. The Shulchan Aruch and the whole Masechta is relatively short. There's not a lot of Shulchan Aruch on the Masechta because we saw most of the cases is 4 brothers married 3 sisters and all kinds of complications. But the first couple of parakim doesn't have too much ramifications.
Somebody said there was a chalitza here yesterday.
Yeah. I heard on Monday. So there was a chalitza that would. We'll see some of the halachas that come up. So the Mishnah here starts the basic halachas of how to do chalitza. Mitzvahs chalitza b'shlosha dayanim. So the first thing is it's supposed to be a bezdin. A bezdin has to do chalitza. They're the ones who are officiating at the chalitza. You have to have a bezdin of 3 dayanim. Like just to point out, a Masana Kedushin is really nothing. There's no halacha about a Masana Kedushin. It's just you need somebody who knows what he's doing. But there's no official thing. You have to have a Masana Kedushin. But by chalitza, there is a thing. You need a bezdin. You don't need a bezdin or you need Eidim by a wedding. But over here, there's a thing. You have to have a bezdin. So mitzvah chalitza b'shlosha dayanim. You have to have 3 judges in order to do chalitza. But if you do shlosha diotos, you don't need really dayanim. You don't need real judges. They could even be at diotos, which means they don't know too much. They're not smart. The Gemara is going to talk about what they do have to know, the minimum that they have to know, but they don't have to know too much. They don't have to be real dayanim. Then it goes on. If the chalitza that she did, it says in the pasuk we really should see the psukim. It says that if she doesn't want, first is the din of yibum, but if she doesn't want to do chalitza, it doesn't want to do. So then it says she goes to the bezdin and she says, my brother-in-law doesn't want to take me. So they call him, they speak to him, and it says that she says that my brother-in-law doesn't want to take me, and she takes off his shoe. She takes off his shoe from his foot, and she spits in front of him, and she says, so should be done to a man who doesn't uphold the house of his brother. Like it's considered a bad thing. Nowadays, they don't let him do yibum, but in the principle, he should do yibum, and if he doesn't want to, so then he goes through the process of a way that really it's insulting to him. It's saying that he's not good. He doesn't take care of his brother. So part of the...
He doesn't do anything.
What?
He just stands there.
Yes, right.
She does everything.
Right, he also has to say, we'll see the whole say that. He has to say, I don't want to take a low how does he say? It's right. The person says what he says, what she says, and they do the whole say. But here it talks about the shoe. So it says the shoe is kosher, but if it be on pilya, some kind of a sock that's not a shoe, so then it's not a good chalitza. It has to be a shoe. The kasha would be, it says that it's kosher. It sounds like it really should be even better. It should be that's the way it's supposed to do it. So we'll see it later on in the Gemara, but here it says that's kosher. And if it be a sock, just taking off a sock is not enough. It has to be a shoe. The next halacha, the sandal sheish lo akev kosher, v'shein lo akev pasul. As a sandal is a sandal, I'm the same word in English, that has a akev. Akev, Rashi says means a sole. Sole. I'm not sure what that means yet. I'd like to wait for the Gemara to get more information. Sometimes the word akev means a heel. So I don't know enough to say what even translation in the Mishnah yet. But Rashi, and this word, Rashi here says, akev, soul. That's also in French, also in English. That's a soul. And I'd like to find out more what that's all about. So just the Mishnah so far, I don't know. The next part of the Mishnah says, so the akuva means the knee, and the word's translation would mean below the knee is, if the chalitza was done below the knee, it's kosher, above the knee is pasul. How could you have a chalitza above the knee? So Rashi says if his foot is amputated, if he's amputated below the knee, then there could be a chalitza done, which sounds, that alone sounds like you put the shoe on the stump, even though it's not his foot. It's part of his leg, of the calf, of the shin. It's good enough, but if it will be above the knee on his thigh, so then it's not a good chalitza. I have to see more. I don't know anything yet. Just reading the Mishnah. The next halacha: chalsa b'sandal sheina shelo or b'sandal shel eitz. Oh, shall small be a min chalitza kshera. If it wasn't his shoe, even though it says it's v'chalsa na'alo, it says just be his shoe. Here it sounds like even though it's not a shoe, it's still kosher. Or if it's a wooden sandal, even though it's not leather, usually a shoe is leather, as we had in Masechah Shabbos. Even if it's made out of wood, it's also kosher. Or if it was a left shoe on the right foot, it doesn't have to be taken off the right foot. But if it was taken off the right foot, but it was a left shoe, the guy was wearing the left shoe on the right foot, and she took it off of his right foot, that's kosher. As long as it was the right foot, even though it wasn't the right shoe. The next halacha, it was the wrong size. If it was not the right size shoe, but it was a bigger shoe than his size, but it was still, he was able to walk in it. It means b'dochak, you're able to walk in it, even though it's oversized, but it's not going to fall off. So that's kosher. Or if it's a smaller shoe than his size, but a sandal, but as long as it covers most of his foot. But if it's a small shoe that doesn't cover even most of his foot, then it's not a shoe, then it's even possible in the end. So that was the Mishnah. We started the halachas about chalitza. We got a little insight. The first thing is that the Mishnah said that 3 dayanim, and even if not dayanim, even adyotos is also good enough. Adyotos means commoners, plain men, that's also good enough. So the question is, so dayanim normally. Why does it say dayanim? If you don't need dayanim at all, it just should say mitzvahs chalitza b'shlosha anashim. Anybody? Either make it colder or what, colder something like. So why does the Mishnah say dayanim? Why does it say shlosha dayanim? You don't need dayanim. Right away the Mishnah says you don't need dayanim. So why does it say dayanim? It says 3 dayanim, and even if they're not dayanim, so then you don't need dayanim. So dayanim normally. It could be that the air conditioner is just making stuffy. If it doesn't help, it doesn't help. They get the fresh air. Whatever. The answer is, I don't know. Whatever's going to help anybody. It has to be a little bit wisdom. They can't be mamash. They have to have enough knowledge to be able to hakros. The word hakros means to give, to read. It doesn't mean to read. Likros is to read. Hakros means they have to give the Yavam and Yavam. They tell them what to say. It's similar to what we're going to see by Birchas Kohanim. By Birchas Kohanim, Yevarechecha Hashem v'Yishmerecha. So you have the Makri that the Chazan, he says Yevarechecha. They say Yevarechecha. Really, he's not giving the bracha. The Kohanim giving the bracha. So what is he saying Yevarechecha for? To tell them what to say. He's giving them the cue. Say Yevarechecha. Say Hashem. Say Yishmerecha. So also by the Yibum, by the Chalitza, also we have that the Dayan. They tell the Yavam and Yavam what to say. They don't know it by heart. They don't know what to say. So you have to have at least that should be that so smart. They should know how to say word by word in order to tell them what to say. If they don't know that, then they're no good. If so, the Mishnah is the same as in the Brisa. Oh, that's what the Brisa says, that you have to have three people that at least know enough to read, to recite to the as if as not like the Yonim. A little bit they have to know minimum. You don't have to be very knowledgeable. You have to know how to read and how to say it in order that they should be able to say it after you. But now the Brisa brings in a different opinion that doesn't say in the Mishnah. A new opinion. The Mishnah says all you need is three. He says you need five. A new opinion. You have to have a bezin of five. You ever heard of a bezin of five? Here's a bezin of five. My time at the Tanakama. Where's Tanakama get that three is enough? The Tanya. Zikanim Shnayim. It says she should go to the Zikanim. If the woman sees that her Yavam doesn't want to marry her, so she goes to the Zikanim. She goes to the elders, and she says he doesn't want to. And it says they call him, they speak to him. So ain't bezin shokol. So the Zikanim is already two. The fact that it says she goes to the elders is plural, so two. But you can't have bezin of two. Ain't bezin shokol. We know always you have to have an odd number. An even number is not a bezin. Masif and alei modechos, you have to have one more. Rekan. That's how they get that you have to have three, because the pasuk says plural. Plural is at least two plus one, that it shouldn't be even. Rabbi Yehuda, where does he get that you have to have five? Because it says besides zikanim, it also says ziknei. It says 2 times ziknei or ear. It says in the pasuk a couple of times. It says ziknei and it says zikanim. Ziknei shnayim, zikanim shnayim. Ein bezin shokol masif and lein odechot. That it says 2 times elders. It says elders and it says elders again. So that's already 2 and 2 is 4, and you can't have an even number, so you have to have 5. That's the machlokes. So we found the source of the machlokes, but now the Gemara is going to be bothered. So what does Tanakama do with one of the times that it says elders? It says 2 times elders. Rashi asked that it says 3 times even. That the Gemara is not concerned with. Rashi but the Tanakama, he says that if it only says 1 time, it says 2 times. If it says 2 times, Rabbi Yehuda is right that each one means 2. 2 and 2 is 4. Plus it shouldn't be an even number. So how does he get that 3 is enough? Tanakam Ziknei. What do they do with the word Ziknei? Yeah, they do have something else. The word that it says Ziknei is to tell you an extra time is to say that any kind of bezdin is good. That it doesn't have to be dafka zikenim, doesn't have to be dafka elders. Any kind of people are good. So that's why that means the word before the beginning of the parak, the beginning of the sugi here, it just said agreed to the Mishnah that idiotas are good enough. The word just says, so why does he need a yonim? So it says it means that they should know something. But the Gemara didn't have to analyze where they get it from. If it says Zikanim, so the answer here so far the Brisa says the fact that it says Ziknei again, that says that doesn't have to be mamash Zikanim. Any kind of Zikanim is good enough. Rabbi Yehuda adiotas manole, but Rabbi Yehuda uses the pasuk of Ziknei to tell you another 2, a number to add on another 2. So how does he notice halacha that idiotas are good enough? Nafkalei milaene. He learns enough in the word laine that says that she should spit laine as a kenim. In front of the eyes of this kenim, she should spit. So what do you see from that? Damamar laine pratless sumim. Umade israch laine lemute sumim shma mina da filo idiotos not idiotos. They wasn't have a long Russia now to explain how from the word laine you could derive from that you don't need dayanim, a bezdin. You don't need a bezdin of Sanhedrin because the pasuk says that blind people are not good. If they're blind, they're not kosher to be dayanim. And if they'd have to be from the bezdin, then of course they can't be blind because blind people can't be the dayanim. So the fact that the pasuk says that you can't have blind people, there must be talking about people that are not dayanim. So that's from that cheshbon, Rabbi Yehuda could derive that you don't need dayanim. Idiotas are good enough. Again, Rabbi Yehuda, how does he know idiotas are good? He learns enough from the word la'inei. Why? We learn out from the word la'inei that blind dayanim are not kosher. From there we could derive that it must be that you don't need mamish Sanhedrin. These talk Sanhedrin being on. If you think that, take it literally, that you have to have Sanhedrin. You don't need a pasuk to tell you that blind is no good. They're not good for Sanhedrin. With the Tanya of Yosef, nafka, the Tanya of Yosef, just like Bezin is supposed to be without any evil, they should be completely clean in righteousness, also they should be clean from any blemish, because the pasuk says in Shir Hashirim that you're completely beautiful and you have no blemish. That's referring to the Bezdin and the Drash. So that's how you know that a Bezdin is not supposed to have any blemish, and therefore a blind person wouldn't be a Sanhedrin. So if you'd have to have Sanhedrin, then you wouldn't have to have a pasuk to say that a blind person is not good. The fact that it says a blind person is not good must be talking about a Yotos. That's why it gets that a Yotos are kosher, and he doesn't need the words of Canaan, and therefore the words of Canaan is going to be used to tell you that another two. So that's how he gets 5. Why did Rabbanan do with this? Why did Rabbanan do with the word lain? It means if they hold to the Mutei Sumim, then they don't need the whole drasha. So they hold, you don't learn the Mutei Sumim. No, they say something else. There's nothing about being blind. Of course. But more than not being blind, they have to actually, not only can they not be blind, they have to actually see what's taking place. They have to see the spit that comes out of the mouth of the Yevama. It's Aramaic, that the Yanim have to see the saliva that comes out of the mouth of the Yevama. They have to see the spit. So then there is no pasuk to say that Asum was not good. That's not the point. The pasuk is coming to say not that Asum was not good. The pasuk, maybe he was Sanhedrin. The pasuk is coming to say that they have to see the spit, but you don't know the fact that Yotos are good, and you need a pasuk zakanim, and therefore there's no extra pasuk to say that you have to have another 2 dayanim in the count. So now Rabbi Yehuda is off. The more trying to cheshbon Rabbi Yehuda doesn't go, because he also needs this pasuk to say that you have to actually see the spit, and therefore there's no source to say that Yotos are good, and therefore he doesn't have a pasuk to say that 2 more zakanim, so he doesn't know 5. A different source where he knows that Yotos are good. Nafka maybe Yisrael. It says, what does the pasuk be Yisrael over here? I think it says 2 times the word Yisrael, so I don't have the pasuk in front of me. But it says the word Yisrael. From there, you learn out that any kind of Yisrael is good. Yisrael kol do, any kind of a Jew. It doesn't have to be a dayan. So therefore, he has the pasuk zakanim is extra. He learns out that there are 2 more dayanim. But what are they going to do with that? What are they going to do with this extra pasuk of Yisrael? He says, "Be Yisrael, be Bezin shel Yisrael, below Bezin shel Gerim." The pasuk comes to say that the Bezin has to be not converts, even though converts are Jewish and everything. But as far as the Bezin for Chalitza, no, there can't be a Bezin of Chalitza if they're converts. It has to be Jews that were born Jews. So therefore, you can't learn out that the Yotas are good. Maybe you have to have dafka mumchim, and therefore you need the words of Canaan, and you don't have a pasuk to learn out the another 2. Vida, what does Rabbi Yehuda do with that? The Yisrael Achminik, if you're right, this says Yisrael one time to say that not Gerim, but there's another time that it says Yisrael. Not Yisrael, I learn out even that Yotas are good. There's another thing that says when the Krush will be Yisrael based Chalutz. So he says there was a case of a Chalitza over there. Rabbi Yehuda says I was by Rabbi Tarfon, and they came a Yevamos to do Chalitza, and after they did Chalitza, Rabbi Tarfon told the people that were there, everyone should say Chalutz Hanal, Chalutz Hanal. That's what the pasuk says. When the Krush will be Yisrael based Chalutz Hanal, that the family should be called this person who did Chalitza, like it's a degrading thing that he didn't take care of his brother. So he's called the house of the how would we say the word, that his shoe was taken off. And that's like a degradation for generations that this family, they didn't do Chalitza. So you see, that's why it says, but Yisrael, you should do it in public. You should publicize and degrade him that he didn't do Yibam. So that's why you do it. That's what you do with the word Yisrael. And therefore, you don't yet know that the Yotos are good, and you need the pasuk of Zakanim, and therefore you don't have an extra word to say that you have to have 2 more. That's why 3 is enough. And the Idach, the mother sends off for Rabbi Yehuda, with V'nikra Nafka. Rabbi Yehuda holds it from even if it wouldn't say Yisrael, V'nikra Shmo, Beit Chalutz Hanal, that's enough to be that it should be publicized amongst people that Chalutz Hanal, they should call it out, but not that you need the word Yisrael. So according to Rabbi Yehuda, he does have a pasuk Yisrael to tell you that the Yotos are good, and the words of Canaan is extra, and that's how he comes out that you have to have 5. So all the Gemara did was, this was all the drasha, that there's a machlokas in the Mishnah says you have to have 3 dayanim, the Brisa says 5. The more I figured out the drasha, that according to Rabbi Yehuda, there's extra words of Canaan, and that extra words of Canaan, you learned Zakain means 2, again Zakain or Zikne means 2, altogether is 4, and it can't be equal, so it's 5. And they say you need the word Zakain to tell you even at Yotos. And the Gemara goes through to find where's Rabbi Yehuda find. No, that family knows from the word Yisrael Koldu, and he has the extra pasuk, and he's going to learn from the extra pasuk of Zakain that another 2 is going to be 5, and the Rabbanan don't have that. That's the end of the sugya. How do you know? How do you know that how many the young there should be machlok is 3 or 5? Tomorrow's the kasha.
Too cold.
I don't know, it's getting too hot. I don't know, like it's
Wow.
If you need within to say if there's chalitza or not,
to do chalitza. You need bezin to do chalitza.
because if it's not done, if it's done, it's a negative factor, right?
What is that?
It's negative. If the whole process.
Oh, I don't know if it's a negative. No, the one point is in order to make it out.
The brother did this. He did chalitza, and they found on it. So on the opposite effect, if there's
Yibum.
cohabitation, there is no business.
Right. There's no, right. Yeah, 100% right. You don't need a bezin to do yibum or to announce yibum. You don't need any of that. You just they make a marriage. They make the yibum, and you don't need a bezin. Maybe Adim, I'm not sure. Maybe even not Adim. We didn't get into it. I don't know. But like a marriage has to have Adim. But you don't need the Adim either. We had, even if it happened by mistake, if they had cohabitation. So also it's going to be a good Yibum. Maybe Lachatchila, they do with Adim. But by Chalitza, you need a Bezdin. And the Machlokes was how big is the Bezdin? Either 3 or 5. So in the window, something like Okay, so it's so good. There was a little question over here, according to everybody, that everyone's learning out from how many times it says Canaan, 1 time, 2 times. But the boy says there are more drushes to learn out over there. It says another, it says they should call him, they should speak to him. So every time it says a plural, he should learn out more. So he should learn out another to Vikaru. You should say that the word Vikaru means another 2. And then it says Vidibru is another 2. So if you're dashing all these words that it says a Canaan, so learn out. The Kor was another 2, but Dibur was another 2, and you'll have according to Rabbi Yehuda, Achinami Rabbi Yehuda, Harekan Tisha, Rabbana Harekan Shiva. Are you going to say add on another 4 Dayanim? And according to Rabbi Yehuda that you have 5, you have to have 9. According to Rabbi you have to have 3, you should have 7. Means what do you do with these 2 words of a Kor and a Dibur? The more answers over there, there's drushes over there. The Korulo, the Lo Shlucham. That is a din that they're not supposed to send a shliach to call. They're supposed to go by themselves to call the yavam. That they are themselves, they should be the ones to call the yavam, not through a shliach. And for Dibu Eilah, what you learn from that? That it says over there that she says he doesn't want to do yibum, so it says they should speak to him. The fact that it says they should speak to him, what do they speak about? The pashut is
they asked him, "You want to take this woman?"
he said already he doesn't want it. He says already he doesn't want it. But so the pashut is that they try to convince him that he should. But the Gemara is saying that no, not after. They speak to him and they give him whatever is appropriate. Sometimes they'll say that he shouldn't do yibum. So they give him a good advice. Shema Yehu Yelet Vizukena, Huzakin Viyalda, Omrim Lo Malach Etzel Yalda, Malach Etzel Zakena. If the age factor or any other factor that's not fitting, it's not a good match. He's younger than she is, or he's older than she is. Extreme difference. So then we say, why get involved? Why should you take such a young woman? Why should you take such an old woman? Go to somebody that's fitting for you. Don't bring in bickering into your house. If it's a big age difference, there's room for mismatch. So don't. That's so it's a drasha. So the Master Kasha, what do you do with the words v'kor v'dibru? The Gemara says without a shliach, and also give him eitz whatever's good for him, not just to encourage him to do his yibum. Sometimes not. Sometimes discourage him to do yibum. So we finished machlokis. What we have that machlokis the chalis has to have bezin of 3 or bezin of 5. Agav, we also learned halacha that they're not supposed to be gerim. What else did we learn over here? Outside halachas came up that the yanim are supposed to see the actual saliva. Of course, they can't be blind. Even if they're not blind, they have to also be alert what's happening. They have to see the saliva coming out of her mouth. Another halacha was that it's not good to have a bezin of gerim, even though they're 100% gerim, but they can't be a bezin for chalitza. Also, the people out there, when they do the chalitza, they're supposed to say chalutz anal, like the pasuk says. And another 2 halachas came up that it shouldn't be a shliach of the bezin, but the bezin themselves should call him. And Dibu love that they give him the eitz, whatever is a good eitz of him. Should he do chalitza? Should he do yibum? Beis chalutz anal.
So that they call him that. They have to be. They must be. They actually get. They have to announce something. It's not like this.
It says over here that the people over there say chalutz anal. The people over there.
Oh,
that's what it says. Anu kolchem chalutz anal. The people over there that are present, they should say chalutz anal. The Gemara continues. Now we're going to go into the psak. We had a machlokes 3 or 5. Our Mishnah says 3, Tanakama 3, and then the Brayso Vida said 5. That chalitza is not 5, is 3. Because the Brayso says, because the Mishnah says like that. And our Mishnah, It doesn't say 2 opinions. Our Mishnah says 3, and the price of Yehuda said 5. But in the Mishnah only says 3. We pass him like our Mishnah. If so, that you're going to the Stam Mishnah, so there's another case over there. You should also, by Mion, and you should pass also that is 3. Mion means when a woman married Rabbana, that she's a girl below age of Bas Mitzvah, and the father died, he's not marrying her off. So any marriage that she does is only going to be Rabbana. The mother, the brothers, herself, so whatever she gets married is only a marriage Rabbana. And then if she wants out, she just says, I don't want. I refuse. The word Mion means to refuse. She says, I don't want. So then it dissolves the whole marriage, and even in our prayer, there was no marriage at all. We had it yesterday about this. So how many people do you have to have in order to do Mion? So there's a mission that says that you have to have 3. And how come you don't pass like that? If a Stam Mishnah impresses you so much that over here, I should have put the whole line already. All of a sudden, on Tanakh say. He said the halach is by 3 because the Mishnah says so. A Stam Mishnah. If you're impressed with a Stam Mishnah, there's another Stam Mishnah over there. This is in the beginning of Sanhedrin, and over there it says that Mion and Chalitza is b'shlosha. So how can you not pass like that? If you're going to say that Enachnam you do need 3, but Tanya Mion b'shama yomim bezdin mumchin, or b'sel yomim bezdin shloba bezdin. B'shama says you have to have bezdin. B'sel says you don't have to have bezdin shloba bezdin. You don't have to have a bezdin. But everybody else you have to have 3, but they don't have to be dayanim. According to Beishamai, they have to be mumkin bez, but dayanim. According to Beishamai, not. You have to have 3, but not dayanim. Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Yossi, Machshir b'shnayim. Oh, this is what we want. That they say over here, you don't need 3. It's enough to have 2. You have to have witnesses. You don't 2. You don't have to have a bezdin for Mion. And the kasha is that you, Rav Nachman, if you're impressed with the Stam Mishnah and you're passing the Stam Mishnah 3, not 5, so you should pass it over there 3, not 2. The Amr of Yosef, the new Amr of Nachman, we're focusing on Nachman, you pass like that pair. Pair means Rabbi Yosef Yehuda and Rabbi Yossi that say that, or Rabbi Yosef Shimon, that hold that you don't need 3, all you need is 2. And that's the kasha. If in our Mishnah you're impressed with a Stam Mishnah, the passing like came against Rabbi Yehuda and say 3 and not 5. So that over there also Stam Mishnah that says 3. So you should pass him 3 and not 2. And over there, pass him even 2 is good enough. That's the kasha. So the Gemara tries to get out of it. Hasam. It's not enough just to be one Stam Mishnah. By one Stam Mishnah, I'm not a reason to pass like it. But there are 2 Stam Mishnahs by Chalitza. The Mishnah by Yos and the Mishnah Sanhedrin, because that Mishnah over there it said Hamayunin by Chalitza. Here it is. It says Chalitza. That's also by Chalitza b'shlosha. Here it says Chalitza b'shlosha. So our Mishnah says Chalitza is with 3, and over there the Mishnah Sanhedrin says Chalitza is 3. So it's 2 Stam. But the Mian only says 1. Only one Mishnah says a Stam Mishnah you need 3. So therefore we don't pass like that, and even 2 is good enough. Hasam, Chad Stam, Chad Trei Stam. The Master Kasha. Hasam Nami Trei Stam. Over there, I found another Mishnah that in the yevamos that also talks about Mion and says that Mion is 3. Mion no shecholsa b'fanav yisrael v'vneishu bezdin. Over there, it's talking about if a person made a psak, at the end he wants to benefit from the psak. Like he made a woman to be mama'ain, let's say this would be the case over here, that he did Mion, and then he wants to marry her. So it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. It looks good. It looks like the reason why he got her free of her husband is not he's able to marry her. So over there it says that if it's only a thing he did on a one-man show, so then we're choshed and we don't allow him to take advantage of his psak. But if it was more like Mion or Sefalitza B'fanav, if he could marry her, the Chacham, who was part of the Bezdin, could marry because it's a Bezdin. What does it mean it's a Bezdin? That he's not on his own. He had to do it with other people. So it wasn't that he had any kind of negius. So what do you see? But Agav it says Bezdin. Over there it says Bezdin. It could have been even 2 alone also, but it's not his own one-man show. But the fact that it says a Bezdin, it says over there Mion, has to be a Bezdin. So why are you telling me that you're looking for 2 Stam Mishnahs? There are 2 Stam Mishnahs over there also, because it says Mion isn't a Bezdin. So how come you paskin that Mion is enough to have 2? There are 2 Mishnahs that say that you need 3. Elasam Trei Stami Yochad plus a Stami. The Gemara says here, it also says in this Mishnah again, it says Cholza. Let's highlight that again. We have over here, the wrong one, Cholza, Shecholza. It says here, so it says 3 times. 3 Mishnahs say Chalitza has to be with 3. Our Mishnah and the Mishnah in Sanhedrin that says Amiyan v'Chalitza b'shlosha, and the Mishnah also before Yevamos that Chafei says on the side that says that Chalitza is b'shlosha. So there are 3 Mishnahs that say that Chalitza is enough to have 3. As far as me, and there are only 2 Mishnahs that say that it's 3 and not 2, because the one is in the beginning of Sanhedrin and one is the Mishnah before Yevamos. So it's three. So there's three. So three stomach knives is enough to pass like reason to pass like it. But over there, there are only two stomach knives. That's how the Gemara so far answered. How come if Nachman Paskins over here 3 and over there Paskins 2? But the Gemara says, what's the difference? The Gemara says, Mechli, Hastama, Vastama. What's the difference? Maldi Chad Stam, Maldi Trey Stam, Maldi Plus. What's the difference? 1, 2, 3. If it's established as a reason to pass like it, you should pass like it even one time. And if it's not a reason, so it's not a reason. What's the difference? How many there are? So the Gemara has the problem. How come by Chalitza we Paskin that 3, like our Mishnah, not like our Buddha that says 5, and how come by me and we say 3, and we say 2, and you don't need 3. The Mishnah says over there also 3. It doesn't mean sound that's a stam. It means it's a stam b'makam machlokes. What does that mean? That man smicha says kain ba'igla rufa b'shlosha divri Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda divri Rabbi Yossi. I'm sorry, divri Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda b'chamisha. And then it says achalitza v'hamiyunin b'shlosha v'lo kapala Rabbi Yehuda shramina the Rabbi Yehuda shramina. The Gemara makes a whole different point. Not because it's a stam Mishnah, because Rabbi Yehuda, who's the Amad that says 5? Rabbi Yehuda, that was our Bryce. Rabbi Yehuda says 5, but Rabbi Wright himself retracted because in the Mishnah and Sanhedrin where it talks about how many dayanim you have to have is different things. Over there it does mention Rabbi Yehuda's talking over there. Over there it says smichas akenim megla rufa. Rabbi Yehuda holds has to have 5. Some hold 3. Rabbi Yehuda holds 5. But then the next word, the chalitza, it says 3, and Rabbi Yehuda doesn't argue. What happened? Rabbi Yehuda should have argued 5. The same way that he says a second ago by egla rufa smichas akenim, but has to have 5. He should have said chalitza also has to have 5, and he doesn't say it. And the price of Yosef chalitza has to have 5. Shramina, how the Rabbi Yehuda shramina. So Rabbi Yehuda retracted. Even though once upon a time he held 5, he retracted. He also holds 3. So there is no opinion anymore that says 5. Chalitza was with 3. Ad Khan, that's the end of the sugya. We'll go a little bit further, but so far it seems to be the end of the sugya that chalitza is with 3, not like 5. Even Rabbi Yehuda held 5. He also retracted and go back to the drasha before. Whatever the drasha was about the Yisrael, he's not going to hold of it anymore. And the word zekanim is not extra. From there you learn out that even the diotas are good, and there's no extra pasuk to say that you have to have another 2 dayanim. So 3 dayanim is good enough. That seems to be Allah. 3 is enough. But the Gemara goes further. The Gemara is going to go further, but first a little bit parentheses over here that there's something in between, and then the Gemara is going to go back to the sugya of 3 or 5. So far we dropped it, but don't drop it yet. This is a new halacha that the dayanim, not relevant to what we said till now, but another halacha. That the dayanim, they have to establish a place. They have to say where they're going to do the chalitza. It can't be just that they happen to be in a place. So let's sit down and do chalitza. It has to be in a makom kavua. And the moral is out. Also, you enter Hashora. It says Hashora. They should go to the gate. That means the place where the zakenim are supposed to be. So if they have a bezdin that they always, and that's their bezdin, the bezdin's place, the bezdin's room, the beis harua. If not, they have to make a place and designate it beforehand that this is the place where we're going to do chalitza.
Remember in Bars, you had a whole setup there for that.
No, over there it's opposite. Over there it says over there. No.
The other guy, the other.
Over there it says the opposite. Over there it says that he was passing by and he said, "Shvu ba'yeshevu." He said, "Sit down."
And that itself is the establishment.
I don't think so. I don't know. Maybe it is. I think not. That over there it just sounds like sit down. So they sat down. They're out in the field, and 10 people passed by. He said, "Sit down." They sat down. Here it sounds what?
Was it out in the field?
It sounds like they were looking outside. They were outside. He was outside, and he passed by. And he said, "Sit down," and then he sat down, and then he had the discussion with him, and then they said that people are there. They should sit down. And then he said, "We're going to do this exchange over here, and I'm going to take over." But it wasn't over.
He already told Ruth that he was going to set up a meeting with the other guy.
Yes, then he asked him, and he said,
set on the whole.
Yes, but it doesn't mean the place. In the mikvah duch, they have to make a place. Over there, I didn't look into it, but over there it looks like he didn't set a place. He just said sit down, and he's coming to say it's not just a sit down. You have to have a place which is designated. That's what we're going to do. Either it's the base bezdin, the place the bezdin always is, or they should designate it especially for this, but it has to be designated. And Shulchan Aruch says even to designate it the day before. And I was told that here on Monday there was a chalitza, so the Mordechai Gross with his bezdin, they came the day before. They came Sunday to designate the place that's going to be. I think it was a Menachem Zion, I'm not sure. And that's the place where they designate. They came the day before with the whole mishlachat, and then the next day they came with the yavam.
But technically, they designate on the telephone, didn't they?
I think it says all these details in Shulchan Aruch, and it says not like that.
I'm just saying, they could have sent the WhatsApp. I don't know.
I think that, no, it doesn't mean that, no, it means I think everything they do, they have a lot of details in the halacha what they're supposed to do, but this is the
I'm
halacha.
pretty surprised that they could do it with two and with even two.
Who says two?
We have an opinion that says even two, Dayanim.
No, there was no such Gemara.
What does that say
You have to
two?
do it again, you have to learn it again, it doesn't say that. It was talking about Mion. We're back to Chalitza, yes. Chalitza was Machlokes 3 or 5.
Oh, that's.
There was none of them at 2, 2 was by Mion.
The Mian was.
And by
I
Mion,
wasn't surprised by Mian because you got.
who's talking about Mion? Who's talking about the place? We're talking about a place. We finished. 3 or 5, 1 Machlokes. Mion, 2 or 3, also finished. Now we're talking about, there's a new din. By Chalitza, you have to designate the place where the bezin is going to sit to do Yibum, to do Chalitza.
I thought the idea was that this is one of several halachas in time shaykh to.
To Chalitza. Yes, what does it have to do with what does it have to do with the 3 or 5? We're finished. We're going to go further, but this is our side halacha, that besides how many dayanim you have to have mikvah, a special halacha, mikvah duchta. It's highlighted. Tzrichi dayani, the mikvah duchta. You have to make established place. As it says, hashara. Now we go back now, similarly, we go back to our sugya about 3 and 5. They did a Maisa, Avdi Yuvda, also Maisa, but 5. Which seems that they did Chalitza, but they wanted 5 dayanim. And that's against the whole Gemara. The Gemara is saying that all you need is 3, and they did 5. Even Abdi themselves retracted and said you only need 3. So why did they do 5? Come on, Rabbi Yehuda. They're doing like Rabbi Yehuda that says 5. He himself retracted. The answer is for Sumei Milsa, just to publicize it, not for the dayanim, but to make it public, not to do it in privacy. We're supposed to publicize the Chalitza and therefore get another 2 people. That it shouldn't just be 3 dayanim. We should also have another 2 to make it public. 3 people wouldn't be as public enough. Like it says, based on now, he's supposed to make it public. They're supposed to publicize the Chalitza.
Rabbi, this is a new idea. Why didn't they speak about that when they were talking 3? And maybe
Because
5?
before we weren't talking about it. Before we were talking about how many dayanim you need. And we finished. You only need is 3. Now it's a new halacha that you have to have persomet. For persomet, you need another
Bring
2.
the Dayanim, bring a minion.
You're right. That's what it sounds like.
Bring a Beit Midrash.
You're right. So here it says you need 2 more people. That's what it seems to say. That so far it says you don't need any kind of dayanim. It just means you're right. The Chori just means you'll get to a little further. So far it sounds Enechanam is not dayanim. It's 3 dayanim, but he called 5 people because he needed 3 dayanim plus 2 more people. Ravashi Yikla Bey Rav Kana Amalei Salak Mar Legaban the Maluye Bey Hamisha. Another story happened. Ravashi came to Rav Kana's house, and Rav Kana said that Ravashi should come up to us in order to fill the 5. We need 5. We need a 5th. We need more people. We're doing a chalitza upstairs. There's a chalitza, and we only have 4. We need a 5th to go on. So come on. Rav Kana have a kimna kamei Rav Yuda v'amali tos sak the zirza dekani v'sterufei Bey Hamisha. Another story that Rav Kana says he was by Rav Yehuda, and he told me, come bring up a zirz of the kind, like a bundle of reeds, something to sit on, in order to be mitzvah to 5. Again, 5. Everyone's saying 5. Amruleu lama lichamisha. What do you 5 for? Amalahu kiech de lefazim milts. Again, the same thing over again. In order to publicize it, not for the dayanim. Dayanim was enough 3. No one knows you need 5, but in order to publicize it, do it by 5. Rav Shmuel Bar Yehuda, this story, just point out, Rav Shmuel Bar Yehuda, that's the name over here. Rav Shmuel Bar Yehuda have a kol kamed Rav Yehuda. He was in by Rav Yehuda. And also another story like that. Amalei Sak told his years of the Kani, that's the Rufe Bech Hamisha. The Pesumim was. What?
Where is the Bach? What does it say there? The little base?
Amar Rav Shmuel Bar Yehuda, Kalakim Kamed Rav Yehuda, Amalei. So that's what he puts in that Rav Yehuda Shmuel is saying over the story. That the way our Gemara says it, the Gemara is telling the story. That he told him, bring up a bundle of reeds in order to become part of our 5 of Yichalitza, in order to publicize the issue. Amalei, Rav Shmuel Bar Yehuda, let's just show who his name is again. Rav Shmuel Bar Yehuda.
I understand when you bring a bag of reeds.
Like pull up a chair. Pull up a chair with
That's his reason.
Yeah, no,
Azir Zedek
today
Kani.
we bring chairs, and they brought in all these stuff.
Oh, he's sure.
So we need a 5th person in order to do Pesumim Miltza to do for the Chalitza. Amalei Tanina be Yisrael, Bezdin, Yisrael, below Bezdin Shalgayim. This goes back to before, just to point out, we had it before today already, about 10 lines or 12 lines from the top. Over there it says, the Chidetani of Shmuel Bar Yehuda. Of Shmuel Bar Yehuda, this is it. Of Shmuel Bar Yehuda, he said over the brisa that says that you have to have Dafki Israel, not Gerim. So he said, you want me to be part of the 5? I'm a Ger. To make Pesumim Milsa, so you think that he would be good. But here it says that even for the extra 2, he shouldn't be a Ger. And Rav Yehuda was very impressed with him because he didn't know that he's a Ger. Amar Rav Yehuda, Kigon, Rav Shmuel Bar Yehuda, that somebody like Rav Shmuel Bar Yehuda is so honest, I would take out money from him on his mouth. If he says something, I would trust him so much because here he's the one who revealed to us that he's a Ger. He's also happens to be the one who brought all the Lach into the Beis Medrash. He's the one who said over this brisa that you have to be a Yisrael in order to do Chalitza and to be a Bezdin of Chalitza, and we didn't know about it. He's the one who brought in the information. So he's so honest and reliable that I would trust him even to take out money from somebody because of his testimony. But the Gemara says, could he take out money? Says you have to have 2 witnesses. I don't care how much you trust him. I would make a question on a star. If it is a document that he says that is false, I would say that I can't collect money with such a document that he says that's not good. Because you see how trustworthy he is, that he brought in the halacha that a ger is not good. He told us that he's a ger himself, and he didn't want to be part of the Bezdin, even though he degraded himself, but he's honest. So somebody like that I would trust, and his word would weigh a lot in Bezdin if there'd be any question of money. That's the end of the day today. Stop over here. And 2 words before the end of the daf. Omar Rabba. Okay. Yes,
What do you call him, a Goin? I didn't see hear that word. Something when he said I'm a Ger, what did the Rav say?
That you're so trustworthy that even
That word trustworthy.
no, it doesn't say the word. That's the idea that he's saying. Somebody keep going. Somebody like Shmuel Yehuda, I would take out money by his word. Take out money? No, but I would say that the star is questionable if he says that it's not good. Okay. Yes, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
Is this only a few